To the December 2017 AJP-Heart and Circulatory Physiology video table of contents, or from the editor's desk. This month we've published 13 outstanding pieces of original research. In addition, I want you to be aware of a new web page for our journal that will enhance your experience and ability to find pertinent content. The APS Publications Department and staff have been working very hard on this, and over the past year we now have finally rolled it out. Please take a look and give us your feedback. Let's take a peek at what's inside this month's issue. Et al. Tested the hypothesis that hyperactivity of the orexin system in the paraventricular nucleus contributes to salt-sensitive hypertension via AVP signaling. 8-week-old male, dole-sensitive, and age-matched, sex-matched Sprague-Dawley rats were placed on high-salt or normal diet for 4 weeks. High-salt diet induced significant increases in mean arterial pressure and PVN mRNA levels of orexin 1, 2, and AVP in dull salt-sensitive rats. Intraventricular infusion of orexin A dramatically increased AVP mRNA levels and immunoreactivity in the PVN of Sprague-Dawley rats. Incubation of cultured hypothalamic neurons from newborn Sprague-Dawley rats with orexin A increased AVP expression, which was attenuated by orexin 1 blockade. The results suggest that elevated PVN orexin 1 activation may contribute to salt-sensitive hypertension by enhancing AVP signaling. Et al. Tested the hypothesis that cardiac GLUT4 is required for myocardial adaptations to hemodynamic demands. Cardiac-specific GLUT4 knockout mice and control littermates were subjected to either transverse aortic constriction or a physiological model of endurance exercise, swim training. After TAC, the GH4 knockout mice developed significantly greater hypertrophy and more severe contractile dysfunction. Surprisingly, after exercise training, G4H knockout mice developed increased fibrosis and apoptosis that was associated with dephosphorylation of the pro-survival kinase, AKT, in concert with an increase in protein levels of the upstream phosphatate protein phosphatase 2A. GLUT4 is required for maintenance of cardiac structure and function in response to physiological or pathological processes that increase energy demands. And co-workers determined if chronic treatment with the alpha-1A receptor agonist A61603 is beneficial in a right ventricular failure model. Tracheal installation of the fibrogenic antibiotic bleomycin in mice was used to induce pulmonary fibrosis, pulmonary hypertension, and RV failure. In the bleomycin model of RV failure, chronic A61603 treatment was associated with improved RV fractional shortening and greater in vitro force development by RV muscle preparations. Cell injury markers were reduced with A61603 treatment, serum cardiac troponin 1, RV fibrosis, and expression of matrix metalloproteinase 2. Consistent with lowered RV oxidative stress, A61603 was associated with an increased level of the cellular antioxidant superoxide dismutase 1 and a lower level of pro-oxidant NADPH oxidase isoform NOX4. These findings suggest that in the context of pulmonary fibrosis, the alpha-1 subtype is a potential therapeutic target to treat the failing right ventricle. Et al. Examined the roles of renal toll-like receptors on the impact of type 2 diabetes on acute kidney injury after myocardial infarction. Myocardial infarction was induced by coronary ligation in diabetic and non-diabetic rats. Sham-operated rats served as no MI controls. Renal MRI levels of TLR2 and myeloid differentiating factor 88 were significantly higher in sham-operated diabetic rats than in sham-operated non-diabetic rats, although levels of TLR1, TLR3, and TLR4 were similar. At 12 hours after MI, protein levels of kidney injury molecule 1, KIM1, and neutral gelatinase-associated lipocalcin, NGAL, in the kidney were elevated by 5.3 and 4.0-fold respectively, and their mRNA levels were increased in diabetic rats. These results suggest that in diabetes mellitus increases the susceptibility to acute kidney injury after acute MI by augmented activation of renal toll-like receptors, and that TLR1, TLR2 mediating signaling mediates KIM-1 upregulation after MI. Femnu et al. Describe a catheter method for the measurement of transmural absorption spectroscopy, myoglobin oxygenation, and mitochondrial redox state. Reflectance spectroscopy with complex surface scattering effects in the beating heart leads to difficulty in quantitating chromophore absorption. In this study, surface scattering was minimized and transmural path length optimized by placing a light source within the left ventricular chamber while monitoring transmurally transmitted light at the epicardial surface. The myoglobin oxygenation level was only 82%, whereas cytochrome C and cytochrome A plus A3 were 13.3 and 12.6% reduced respectively in the Langendorf perfused heart. The intracardial cardiac illumination strategy permits transmural optical absorbance spectroscopy in perfused hearts, which provides a non-invasive real-time monitor of cytosolic oxygenation and mitochondrial redox state. Thank you for watching this month's video table of contents. There's a lot more to read in the full journal. Visit the new website and enjoy. On behalf of the editorial team at AJP-Heart and Circulatory Physiology, we wish you and yours a healthy, happy, and productive holiday season and new year. Please send us your best work now, and we'll see you next month.